Hey there, Mountain Man Picker vinyl community. Mountain Man Picker here, and today it's one of our Just for the Record episodes. I've got a killer record show I'm going to tomorrow. I'm so excited. It's the Colorado Record Show here in Colorado Springs, and I try to make it to those shows every time because not only do I meet a bunch of really great people out there, some of you guys I'll probably see there tomorrow, but I always pick up a lot of records. And this time I even told my wife I'm not going to pick up as many records. I'm going to focus on picking up records that I am missing in my personal collection, records that I want to play on my system, not that I want to sell. My inventory in my eBay store is just out of sight right now. I've got so many records waiting to be uploaded into the store. So the last thing I need to do is go out and buy more inventory for my record store. So if you want to help me out, check out the link in the description. Maybe there's some records in there that you might want to spin at home. But today I thought, you know what, I'm going to talk about my Rush collection because I was going through my inventory of records down in the basement where I keep all my records, and I've got thousands of them. I'm sure you do too. And I went through my Rush inventory and I realized, there's a lot of Rush albums out there that I still need. When I was growing up, Rush was a big, big band for me. I mean, the first album I picked up from them was 2112. And then I collected all of the records that they had until, up through the 80s. And then I don't know what happened to all my Rush records, but they disappeared over time. So I had to rebuild my collection. Started doing that in 2020. So anyway, what I realized is I'm missing a whole bunch of Rush albums, but I'm going to cover today what I do have, what I have managed to pick up since 2020. And I'm going to start with this one right here. Rush, Caress of Steel. This album came out in 1975. It did not get the best reviews. I don't even know what the sales were on this record, but I know from reading Geddy Lee's book and just from history that this record did not do what they expected it to do. But I love this album. It's a fantastic album. I mean, you got Bastille Day, which is a really rocking tune. We've got Think I'm Going Bald, which there's a whole story behind that. If I highly recommend read Geddy Lee's book. I'll put a picture of it up here. It's a good book if you're a Rush fan. You learn a lot about the history of each one of these records. But this was Rush's second album. I still need their first album, so I'm going to be hunting for that one tomorrow. But this was their second album, and this is where I would say that where they really started coming up with some intense lyrics. And I believe Neil Peart was just starting to write lyrics for the band about this point, and he ended up writing lyrics on most of their albums after that. He's a big science fiction fan, and a lot of their songs are evolved around books that they're reading and things like that. So Caress of Steel, I still like to listen to this record. It's a really cool record. Side 2 is probably my favorite listen because of all the different parts of songs that are on side 2, but this is definitely one that will always stay in my collection. Fly By Night came out in 1975, and then shortly after that we had Rush's All the World's a Stage. That was 1976. You can see the copy I have is beat up. The jacket is not in great condition. Got a lot of ring wear on it, but the vinyl in here is really good, believe it or not. And I picked this up, I think it was at a record show for a really good price. It was like $10, and to me, that's worth it for Rush, All the World's a Stage. This was one of the first albums that I listened to right when I got turned on to Rush back in the late 70s, and it's got all of their hits from back then. It's also got on one side, I think it's side 2, 2112, and I believe, if I remember right, the version of 2112 on here, they had just written that, and it was just coming out the same year that this came out. So, but this is a really good album. If you don't have it, You got to get it if you're a Rush fan. The sound quality, in my opinion, even though the vinyl is in great condition, I think that the recording, in my opinion, of the concerts that are on here was just not top quality, but it's still a gotta have Rush album. All right, like I said, also in 1976, 2112. Now, this was the record that first got me into Rush. I remember when I think I was in junior high, a friend of mine who wasn't supposed to have this album, his parents, it was a big no-no, but we checked it out together and I was like, wow, man, who are these guys? And then when I looked at the backside of the album, I'm like, who are these freaky guys? But it blew me away. And you can see the copy that I have here is not in the best of condition. I don't know what it is with Rush albums, but every time I run across them, they're always beat all to heck. I guess because they got used a lot. But the vinyl in here that I've got a really good copy of Rush 2112. And this is, I believe this is a Canadian pressing as well. And this is one that I'll always have in my collection. I wore the cassette tape out when I was in high school, playing it in my car. I mean, literally wore it out. You couldn't even read the tape. You remember those days with cassettes? And this was one of those tapes that I just wore the heck out. Rush 2112. Also very experimental at that time that they were coming out with progressive rock like this that take up a whole side of an album. I mean, it was like Yes, kind of like the Moody Blues and Emerson, Lake and Palmer and some of those bands. Intense stuff, King Crimson. But Rush 2112 is what really got me into Rush. Let me know in the comments, what's your favorite Rush record? All right, let's go to the next one. Hey, if you're a beginner guitar player and you want to learn how to play fast, make sure you pick up my free ebook right here, Fast Track Guitar at allaboutguitaracademy.com. I help students learn how to play guitar in 6 weeks or less. And you can also check us out at YouTube, All About Guitar Academy, where we do lessons every single week right here on YouTube. Make sure you come see me over there, All About Guitar Academy. All right, next on the list, 1977, A Farewell to Kings. This one is an awesome record. I've got a really clean copy here. I got this at an antique store for a really good price. I had to snatch it up. The vinyl is pristine in here. The sound on this record is amazing. I've got a really good copy of Farewell to Kings here. I'm so glad I got that because it's got so many good songs on it. Cygnus X1, which is part of, a whole medley of really cool sci-fi, progressive rock stuff. I'm sure you've heard this record before, but if you haven't and you like progressive rock, you got to check out Rush, Farewell to Kings. I'm glad I snatched up another copy of this one. Okay, next on the list in order, 1978, Rush, Hemispheres, and I don't have that one. I've got to get a copy of that. I'm looking for that at the record show tomorrow. So hopefully I'll be able to show you an upcoming video that I was able to pick up a copy of Rush Hemispheres. I don't know whatever happened to that record. That's one of my favorite Rush records of all time. Progressive rock all the way through the whole album. The Trees, La Villa Strangiato, Hemispheres all on side one. Amazing. But I do have the next album after that, 1980, Rush, Permanent Waves. One of my favorite of all time albums, for real. I mean, this one was one that brings back so many good memories of mine. Spirit of Radio. I just remember driving in my car, windows rolled down, cranking Spirit of Radio on my cassette player, jamming in high school, just having a great time listening to Rush. I would say this album that it's a happy album for me. When I listen to Permanent Waves, Hemispheres too, but Permanent Waves, it just gets me. It's an uplifting album for me to listen to. So many cool songs on this record. Free Will, Jacob's Ladder, Entre Nous. So just an awesome Rush record. All right, and just after Permanent Waves, I missed that concert. I was supposed to go to that concert too, the Permanent Waves tour. I don't remember what happened. I was somewhere else. You know, who knows? Those days are kind of foggy. But 1981, Rush Moving Pictures came out, and this was when they started doing stuff. Geddy Lee with synthesizers. He was actually playing, keyboards with his feet and playing bass at the same time and singing all at once. And I saw him do it live because this was the first Rush concert that I ever went to, Moving Pictures, the Moving Pictures tour. And what an amazing show with Red Barchetta. They got the car driving down the cartoon freeway. And I mean, the atmosphere of the Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas, which is where I was it was very smoky there. It was very exciting. Everybody was in a good mood and just wanting to really get into this record because it was so awesome. Tom Sawyer, The Camera Eye, what a great record. So I've actually got, I think, 3 copies of this record because I've got different pressings, but such an amazing album. Rush Moving Pictures, super album. And the same time that album came out and I went and saw Rush, the Exit Stage Left album came out, the double live record. I used to have that one too. I've got to get another copy of that. I like the recording mix on that one too. So I've got to find that one. But after that, we got Rush Signals. And I've got an excellent copy here. The record jacket is beat up, but the vinyl is excellent. And this was about the time that I started to think, I don't know if I care for Rush as much anymore, because back in those days, I was really into progressive heavy rock. About this time, these were my late high school years when I was getting ready to be out of high school. And Rush Signals, though, I listen to it now and I'm like, man, this is a really, really good record. There's some really good guitar on here. Geddy Lee does a lot of cool synthesizer stuff. But this was, in my opinion, this was the album where Rush kind of took a different turn. They took a detour away from the hard, heavy, progressive rock and seemed to go into a different direction after this album came out in 1982. But I listen to it now. I enjoy it. And then right after that, they came out with Grace Under Pressure. And Grace Under Pressure, another record I didn't really appreciate back in the day. I listen to it now, and I like the album. It's a good record. It's not one of my favorite Rush records, but I've got a European copy here. No, it's a German copy, and it sounds dynamite on my system. Really, really enjoy this record nowadays. It's still got some pretty heavy rock on it, but there's a lot of pop. I would call it, lighter rock. I don't know what you call it. Electronic. I guess it's progressive rock. But anyway, I appreciate it a lot more now. Really good stuff on here. Okay, so like I said, I stopped listening to Rush about this time, the new Rush. And so I'm just going to read off here off of my Discogs page what came after that. Power Windows in 85, Hold Your Fire in 1987, A Show of Hands in 1988, Presto 1989, Roll the Bones in 1991, and then Counterparts. That's a really cool record. I definitely going to be looking for that album tomorrow. And then Test for Echo in 1996, that's when I believe that's the album when Rush was heavy again. I noticed. I was like, hey, they're back. And I did buy that record right when it came out. I was so stoked and so excited to listen to that type of Rush again. So I was getting back into Rush. Then we got Vapor Trails, another good record, 2002. Rush in Rio. I have that DVD set of Rush in Rio. It's a really, really good concert. And then we've got Grace Under Pressure 84 tour, Snakes and Arrows Live, Moving Pictures Live, lots of records that I don't have, but I did manage to pick up Clockwork Angels. I actually ordered this off of Discogs, got a crazy deal on it, still in the shrink. And this is a dynamite record. This one of my favorite. I would have to say one of my favorite Rush albums of all time. I've listened to it so many times. In fact, it's time to listen to it again. So right after this video, I think I'm going to pop it back on and give it a listen. But then after that, we had Clockwork Angels Tour. We had R40. Such a legacy Rush has left behind. And this is reminding me as I make this video, I've got to go out and hunt down some Rush tomorrow. So if I see you tomorrow at the record show and you've got some Rush, I'm going to have some cash for you. I'm coming for you. Hey, thanks for tuning in to Mountain Man Picker. I'll have some footage from the Colorado Record Show for all of you vinyl lovers to watch. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Keep on picking.